Kahamara Garupuka Kahasanata Kadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahamara Patajuka Kahakavira Kahamara Patajuka Kahakavira Ekakale Kota Kela Gora Natara Ekakale Kota Kela Gora Natara Pashane Kutibo Mata Onale Pashibo Pashane Kutibo Mata Onale Pashibo Goranga Gunera Niri Kota Kili Avo Goranga Gunera Niri Kota Kili Pavo Sesaba Sangira Sanghe Yekoilo Bilasa Sesaba Sangira Sanghe Yekoilo Bilasa Sesanga Napaya Kande Narutamada Paya Kande Narutamada Yeyanilo Premadana Karuna Pracho Yeyanilo Premadana Karuna Pracho Hena Prabhu Kota Kela Acharya Sako Hena Prabhu Kota Kela Acharya Ko Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Go Premanandi, Haribo, Mayapur, Hare Krishna. Woo. Whopper. Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So I think everybody can understand English, so we will speak in English only. And this is a continuation. This morning we got to the point where Rathayatra festival was kind of beginning, but the dancing of Lord Chaitanya had not yet taken place. And neither had the unique arrangement of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is a form of Krishna who appeared in the mood of a devotee of Krishna round about 500 or so years ago and attended this great festival. So he personally, this festival, usually 1 million or more people are there. So in the middle of this is the great chariots of the Lord, especially Lord Jagannath, and Lord Chaitanya is there, and he arranging the various chanting parties, first of all. Before the festival really began, or the parade really began, Lord Chaitanya organized 4 parties for kirtan. It wasn't what we say in English, a free-for-all. The instruments, the dancers, the singers, the responsive singers, everything was chosen by Lord Chaitanya. Now, this you could say, well, if we are in an orchestra, yes, everything is very carefully organized. So this is a little different. This is a street festival. It's a festival of glorification, of praise, of expression of the heart, and so on and so forth. But particularly, this festival is one which is to help us to understand something which we sometimes forget in this world. There's a deep love within all of us, a deep quest for loving relationships, a deep quest for full satisfaction, and so on. So this festival is actually a manifestation of the perfection of relationships in many ways. And one aspect of this is that the center of this festival is based upon the satisfaction, and automatically it means our own satisfaction. Just like when we water the tree, if you water the root of a tree, the whole tree is nourished. If we try to water the individual leaves, it will not be so effective. In fact, it may be not at all effective. So the secret is to water the root or feed the stomach of the body. The whole body is nourished. So the secret of relationships is to understand our absolute or eternal relationship, our deeper relationship with the origin, the personal origin of all of us. And some people call that personality God, whatever you may say, but the personality from whom everything is emanating. We have a deep, loving relationship. It is not the sentimental or, let's say, very official or ritualistic or whatever relationship which most people conceive. It is a very personal relationship with God. At least we can have that relationship. So in this particular pastime, the relationship is being, let's say, enhanced deeper and deeper. And the various songs which are sung and the various dancing which takes place is all in accordance with this, let's say, relationship between us, the jiva, the living entity, the soul, and the Supreme Soul. So Lord Chaitanya as the Lord himself, but in the mood of a devotee, we're trying to also cultivate this mood of devotion, which means, when you love somebody, you want to do what the other person likes. You want to arrange for their pleasure. You want to provide what they like. It's all about satisfying the beloved. It's not about satisfying ourselves exactly. But by satisfying the beloved, we automatically become satisfied if there's a loving relationship. So similarly here. So the dancing was all arranged very expertly for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. The chanting, everything, the various mood, the rhythms, the tunes, everything was just for their pleasure. At our stage, we don't usually think like that. We usually think of our own pleasure. The song I like, the tune I like, the instrument I like, and so on, like that. But in the mature stage, it goes into another dimension, a dimension of pure spiritual love. So we just get a little glimpse of the effect of that kind of relationship tonight, just a little glimpse. So Lord Chaitanya formed these four parties and chose the various dancers. The dancers were in most cases very senior in age. In fact, one of them was about 80 years of age, the lead dancer. And then the best of all singers were chosen. Srivas Thakur, Swarup Damodar, and others were chosen as lead singers in the various groups. And Govinda Ghosh and others who were famous for not only their beautiful voices, but their pure devotion, pure hearts. But we're going to bounce forward. Oh, I bounced forward too fast there. A little bit here to the Lord's dancing. And let's see, where should we take it up? So these groups were formed in this great procession. There were 3 other groups, so altogether 7 main groups were formed. Sometimes, so listen carefully, if we hear, we'll feel great pleasure in our hearts. So altogether, there were 7 parties of Sankirtan. And in each party, 2 men were beating drums. Thus, 14 drums were being played at once. The sound was tumultuous, and all the devotees became mad. All the Vaishnavas, that means devotees, came together like an assembly of clouds. As the devotees chanted the holy names in great ecstasy, tears fell from their eyes like rain. When the Sankirtan resounded, it filled the three worlds. Indeed, no one could hear any sounds or musical instruments other than the Sankirtan. Lord Chaitanya wandered through all 7 groups, chanting the holy name, Hari, Hari, Hari. Raising his arms, he shouted, "Oh, glories to Lord Jagannath!" Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then exhibited another mystic power by performing pastimes simultaneously in all 7 groups. Everyone said, "Oh, Lord Chaitanya is present in my group. Indeed, he does not go anywhere else. He is bestowing his mercy upon us." Actually, no one could see the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Only the most confidential devotees, those in pure, unalloyed devotional service, could understand. Lord Jagannath was very much pleased by the Sankirtan, and he brought his car to a standstill just to see the performances. King Prataparudra was also astonished to see the Sankirtan. He became inactive and was converted to ecstatic love of Krishna. When the king informed Kashi Mishra of the glories of the Lord, Kashi Mishra replied, "O king, your fortune has no limit." The king and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were both aware of the Lord's activities, but no one else could see the tricks of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We missed a page. Only a person who has received the mercy of the Lord can understand. Without the Lord's mercy, even the demigods headed by Lord Brahma cannot understand. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have been very satisfied to see the king accept the menial task of sweeping the street. And for this humility, the king received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He could therefore observe the mystery of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. Although the king had been refused an interview, he was indirectly bestowed causeless mercy. Who can understand the internal potency of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? When the 2 great personalities, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Kashi Mishra, saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy upon the king, they were astonished. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes for some time in this way. He personally sang and induced his personal associates to dance. According to his need, the Lord sometimes exhibited one form and sometimes many. This was being executed by his internal potency. Indeed, the personality of Godhead forgot himself in the course of his transcendental pastimes. But his internal potency, Lila Shakti, knowing the intentions of the Lord, made all arrangements. Just as Lord Sri Krishna formerly performed the Rasa Lila and other pastimes in Vrindavan, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed uncommon pastimes moment after moment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing before the Rath car could be perceived only by pure devotees. Others could not understand. Descriptions of Lord Krishna's uncommon dancing can be found in revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in great jubilation and inundated all the people with waves of ecstatic love. Thus Lord Jagannath mounted his car, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspired all of his devotees to dance in front of it. You'll see this if you go to Paris. There'll be hundreds of devotees dancing ecstatically in front of the cart of Lord Jagannath. Others will be playing with musical instruments. Some will be pulling the ropes like that. Now, and some will be distributing foodstuffs and books and all sorts of things. Now please hear about Lord Jagannath going to the Gundicha temple while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced before the Rath car. The Lord performed kirtan for some time, and through his own endeavor, he inspired all the devotees to dance. When the Lord himself wanted to dance, all 7 groups came together. The Lord's devotees, including Srivas, Ramai, Raghu, Govinda, Mukunda, Haridas, Govindanandana, Madhava, and Govinda, all combined together. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to jump high while dancing, he placed these 9 people in the charge of Swarup Damodar. So today is, of course, the anniversary of the departure day of Swarup Damodar, who was the most intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. He was a constant companion of the Lord, at least in Jagannath Puri, being none other than Krishna or Radharani, Krishna's female expansion, his counterpart, the female counterpart of the Supreme, Radharani. Her most intimate associate is Lalita Devi. And Lalita Devi appears in this pastime as Swarup Damodar, who is almost always at the side of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Swarup Damodar, these devotees under Swarup Damodar's charge sang along with the Lord, and they also ran beside him. All the other groups of men sang along also. Offering obeisances to the Lord with folded hands, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his face towards Jagannath and prayed as follows. And then these are interesting because it's not just about chanting the Mahamantra or chanting the names of Krishna. But Lord Chaitanya also offered many prayers during the Rathayatra festival, glorifying the Lord. So here are some of them. And some of them are familiar to us. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Lord Chaitanya chanted this particular prayer. He said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna, who is the worshipable deity for all Brahminical men, who is the well-wisher of cows and brahmanas, and who is always benefiting the whole world. I offer my repeated obeisances to the personality of Godhead, known as Krishna and Govinda." Another famous verse he chanted from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll find this verse, I think. Jayati Jayati Deva Devaki Nandanoso Jayati Jayati Krishna Vishnivangsa Padipa Jayati Jayati Mega Shamala Kamalango Jayati Jayati Prithvibhara Nasham Mukunda. All glories unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Devaki. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the light of the Vrishni dynasty. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose bodily luster is like that of a new cloud, and whose body is as soft as a lotus flower. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared on this planet to deliver the world from the burden of demons, and who can offer liberation to everyone. At another verse, we used to chant these verses every night actually before going to bed, many, many years ago. Jayati Janani Vasudevaki Nanmavado Yadavara Parishat Svardo Biras Yanna Dharmam Stira Shara Vijignas Smita Shri Mukena Bhajapura Vinitanam Vadayam Kamadevam. Lord Shri Krishna is he who is known as Jananivas, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as Devaki Nandana or Yashoda Nandana, the son of Devaki and Yashoda. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence, he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful, smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vrindavan. May he be all glorious and happy. And another famous verse, many of you may be familiar with this one also. Naham vipro na chanarapatir na pi vaisho na shudro. Nahang vani na chagyapatir no vanasto yatiravam. Kintu projan nikile Paramananda Purnamritabder Gopi Bharto Padakamalam Dasa 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 Anudasa. Lord Chaitanya prayed, I am not a Brahmana. I'm not a Kshatriya. This means he's not this body, basically. He's not of any designation that we may have in this world. I'm not a Kshatriya. I'm not a Vaishya or a Shudra. Nor am I a brahmachari, a married person, householder, a retired vanaprastha, or renunciate sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar, and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. Having recited all these verses from scriptures, the Lord again offered his obeisances, and all the devotees with folded hands also offered prayers to the Lord. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and jumped high, roaring like thunder and moving in a circle like a wheel, he appeared like a circling firebrand. It's like you take sometimes a sparkler, like a stick. You light it and all these sparks come off, like a firework. It looks like one circle like this, And Lord Chaitanya was dancing like this, spinning in such a way it looked like a circle. He was dancing so fast. Wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stepped while dancing, the whole earth with its hills and seas appeared to tilt. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced, he displayed various blissful transcendental changes in his body. Sometimes he appeared as though stunned. Sometimes the hairs on his body stood on end. Sometimes he perspired, cried, trembled, and changed color. Sometimes he exhibited symptoms of helplessness, pride, exuberance, and humility. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down with a crash while dancing, he would roll on the ground. At such times it appeared that a golden mountain was rolling on the ground. Nityananda Prabhu would stretch out his two hands and try to catch the Lord when he was running here and there. Advaita Acharya would walk behind the Lord and loudly chant, Haribo, Haribo, again and again. Just to check the crowds from coming too near the Lord, the devotees formed 3 circles. The first circle was guided by Nityananda Prabhu, who is Balaram himself, the possessor of great strength. All the devotees headed by Kashishvar and Govinda linked hands and formed a second circle. Maharaj Prataparuda and his personal assistants formed a third circle around the 2 inner circles, just to check the crowds from coming too near. With his hands on his shoulders of Hari Chandan, King Prataparuda could see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing, and the king felt great ecstasy. While the king beheld the dancing, Srivas Thakur, standing in front of him, became ecstatic as he saw the dancing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Seeing Srivas Thakur standing before the king, Hari Chandan touched Srivas with his hand and requested him to step aside. Absorbed in watching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dance, Srivas Thakur could not understand why he was being touched and pushed. After he was pushed again and again, he became angry. Srivas Thakur slapped Hari Chandan to stop him from pushing him. In turn, this made Harichandan angry. As the angered Harichandan was about to speak to Srivas Thakur, Prataparuda Maharaj personally stopped him. King Prataparuda said, "You are very fortunate, for you have been graced by the touch of Srivas Thakur. I am not so fortunate. You should feel obliged to him." Everyone was astonished by the dancing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and even Lord Jagannath became extremely happy to see him. The car came to a complete standstill and remained immobile while Lord Jagannath, with unblinking eyes, watched the dancing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The goddess of fortune, Subhadra, and Lord Balaram both felt great happiness and ecstasy within their hearts. Indeed, they were both seen smiling at the dancing. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and jumped high, 8 wonderful transformations indicative of divine ecstasy were seen in his body. All these symptoms were visible simultaneously. His skin erupted with goose pimples, and the hairs on his body stood on end. His body resembled a shimuli, silk cotton tree, all covered with thorns. Indeed, the people became afraid just to see his teeth chatter, and they even thought his teeth would fall out. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole body flowed with perspiration and at the same time oozed blood. He made the sounds, "Jaja Gaga, Jaja Gaga," in a voice choked with ecstasy. Tears came forcefully from the eyes of the Lord, as if from a syringe, and all the people surrounding him became wet. Everyone saw the complexion of his body change from white to pink, so that his luster resembled that of the Malika flower. Sometimes he appeared stunned. Sometimes he rolled on the ground. Indeed, sometimes his legs and hands became as hard as dry wood, and he did not move. When the Lord fell to the ground, sometimes his breathing almost stopped. When the devotees saw this, their lives also became very feeble. Water flowed from his eyes and sometimes through his nostrils, and foam fell from his mouth. These flowings appeared to be torrents of nectar descending from the moon. The foam that fell from the mouth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken and drunk by Shubhananda, because he was very fortunate and expert in relishing the mellow of ecstatic love of Krishna. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had performed his devastating dance for some time, his mind entered into a mood of ecstatic love. After abandoning the dancing, the Lord ordered Swarup Damodar to sing. Understanding his mind, Swarup Damodar began to sing as follows. So it's understood that Swarup Damodar, being the most intimate, confidential associate of Lord Chaitanya, could understand his heart. Understanding the heart of another person is really where real relationships develop and begin. They're not based on externals or shallow activities or behavior, but on understanding the actual nature of a person. So Swarup Damodar fully understands the heart of Lord Chaitanya, and his singing would be just completely complementary to the mood of Lord Chaitanya. He would sing the various tunes, the songs, everything exactly to enhance or facilitate the mood of Lord Chaitanya. Now he sang this song. Seta Purana Nata Pahinu Yahalagi Madana Dahe Jurigenu. Now I have gained the Lord of my life, in the absence of whom I was being burned by Cupid and was withering away. When this refrain was loudly sung by Swarup Damodar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again began rhythmically dancing in transcendental bliss. The car of Lord Jagannath began to move slowly, while the son of Mother Sachi went ahead and danced in front. While dancing and singing, all the devotees in front of Lord Jagannath kept their eyes on him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the end of the procession with the Sankirtan performance, his eyes and mind fully absorbed in Lord Jagannath. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to play the drama of the song with his two arms. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dramatically enacting the song, he would sometimes fall behind in the procession. At such times, Lord Jagannath would come to a standstill. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again went forward, Lord Jagannath's car would slowly start again. Thus there was a sort of competition between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath in seeing who would lead. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strong that he made Lord Jagannath wait in his car. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, his ecstasy changed. Raising his two arms, he began to recite the following verse in a loud voice. I won't read it, it's a long Sanskrit verse. English, that very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I'm eager to go back to that place on the banks of the Reva river, under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. This verse was recited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again, but for Swarup Damodar, no one could understand its meaning. Formerly old, I won't read this next section, it's a very long section describing the inner mood of Lord Chaitanya. We'll move forward. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced down the main road in great ecstasy before Lord Jagannath, the master of Nilachal, who was sitting on his car. Overwhelmed by the transcendental bliss of dancing and surrounded by Vaishnavas who sang the holy names, he manifested waves of ecstatic love of Godhead. When will Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again be visible to my vision? Anyone who hears this description of the car festival will attain Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He will also attain the elevated state by which he will have firm conviction in devotional service and love of Godhead. So that's just a little glimpse into the maybe a little hard to understand for many of us. Some of you are new, and of course the terms and the pastimes are very foreign or a little bit beyond our experience. But they're a little bit beyond all of our experiences. We hope that just by hearing about it, that we will feel some purification of our hearts, cleansing of our hearts. Maybe an awakening of a spiritual, say, quest in our lives, or a deepening of our spiritual intent. Also on this day, Swarup Damodar Maharaj's disappearance day, Swarup Damodar Goswami, which we mentioned briefly, his part in relationship to Lord Chaitanya as the constant associate and assistant in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And Shivananda Sain had a different role to play. We all have different roles to play in life. Finding out one's role is perhaps one of the challenges in this day that we live in. But everyone has a role materially, and we also have a spiritual role. So Shivananda, that means constitutionally we have a nature, a spiritual nature. So the Krishna consciousness process is to try to reveal our eternal natures. Right now we may not realize what that is. We're trying to understand our natures, as we've just heard, as a servant of the servant of the Supreme. To render service is our nature, but in what form of service, that we may remain to be seen. Right now we're just trying to engage ourselves in the mood of a servant in various activities, etc., in this world. This is the beginning of devotional service. So Shivananda Sain, another great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, had another role. He was residing in Bengal. The festival takes place in Puri, in Orissa. It's about, I don't know how many kilometers, maybe 500 or 600 kilometers away, or 700, like that. So every year, many hundreds of devotees would come from Bengal to Puri for this festival. And this was organized by Shivananda Sain. He was a good organizer, very careful with money, and very good manager. So he would organize the entire parikrama or padayatra, whatever, the entire journey. They would have to walk. Those days there were no trains, buses, or planes. So they would walk all the way from wherever they were in Bengal to Puri, at least 500 or more kilometers. And many things would happen on the way. On one of the most famous pastimes of Shivananda Sain is the pastime. He had one dog. A dog at a certain point of the journey to Puri. A dog joined them and walked along with them on the journey. This is a very common affair, actually. Many devotees have experienced this, especially in India, where we're doing some religious walk of some kind, spiritual program. Many times, especially dogs, I've also seen. One time we had a goat walking for maybe 10 kilometers in the front of the procession. It was quite something. We were walking from Kedar, it's called Kedar. In Vrindavan, there's one part of the holy land of Vrindavan called Kedarnath. We were walking from there to Kamyavan. I suppose it's about 15 kilometers. And this goat joined us just outside of Kedarnath. And he walked the whole way, right in front of the procession. You know, he looked like leading the procession all the way. He was had his head held high. And when we got to Kedarnath, he disappeared. He just walked the whole way. It was quite something. He just came out of the field somewhere and just joined us. And so many times dogs join us, and they stay the whole time. They sit down with us when we sit down, and they walk when we walk. They wait outside the temples when we go inside the temples, and so on. So on this particular time, no exception, one dog joined the parade, during the walk, rather, the party, going to Puri. And this dog was very, very, what we say, manifesting devotional symptoms. So Shivananda Sain accepted the dog as one of the pilgrims as much as anyone else. He would make sure the dog got some proper foodstuffs to eat and everything, arranging for crossing over rivers. He would pay extra money sometimes just to get the dog over, because the dog was one of the party. So he had to go along. It's his choice. And so one time Shivananda Sain was held up. They were crossing a river, and there was some toll money to be paid, or something had to be done. He had to stay back, so everyone else went forward, including the dog, and then they reached their destination for the evening, but Shivananda Sain was held up. So everyone settled down, and they had some refreshments and foodstuffs, prasadam, but they all forgot about the dog, and nothing was given to the dog. So the dog decided to leave, and he went on his own. He disappeared somewhere. So when Shivananda Sain arrived, he asked, seeing what had happened, he said, "So where's the dog?" Nobody knew. He said, "What happened?" And then they realized that they'd forgotten to feed the dog. So Shivananda Sain was very upset. In fact, he fasted for the rest of the journey. He sent men out looking for the dog, but nowhere could he be found. We may say this little material sentiment, but it's not, because that dog was a great devotee. And an offense had been committed to the great devotee. So Shivananda Sain fasted. So by the time eventually they reached Puri, and they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, and right next to Lord Chaitanya, they were so shocked to see that same dog was sat right next to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself in Puri. And Lord Chaitanya was personally feeding the dog prasadam. So the dog was no ordinary dog. And The next day, that dog was never to be seen again. In fact, Swarup Damodar revealed the dog went back to the spiritual realm, back to Godhead. So the one story. Another story, which is perhaps a little hard to understand these things, but another story of Shivananda saying when he was taking the party to Puri, that one time Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya's, you could say, expansion for this mission of spreading the holy name was with the party, and some another Shivananda saying was held back and hadn't had the opportunity to make proper arrangements for accommodation at their next destination. So by the time he reached there, it was quite late, and Nityananda, who has this transcendental, you could say, temperament, was very upset that no arrangements had been made for him to stay and to rest. So he got quite angry with Shivananda's saying, and he kicked him in the chest and cursed him that all your sons will die. Not a very nice thing you could say. Shivananda saying his wife was crying, oh no, no, no. And he was saying, why are you crying? This is the greatest benediction. For the fact that we've upset Lord Nityananda, this is a great boon. To leave one's body like this and to be kicked by Lord Nityananda is a great good fortune. Of course, that didn't happen. His sons didn't die. But this was Lord Nityananda's way of, let's say, transcendently bestowing his mercy upon Shivananda's saint, who took it in such an ecstatic way. So in this way, Lord Shivananda's saint was performing various services to the Lord by bringing all the devotees to Puri for the ecstatic Rathayatra festival every year. So I don't know, but this Sunday we're having Rathayatra in Paris, and many of us will be making our way, we hope, to Paris to take part in this festival. Not on the same level of, you could say, transcendence. We're ordinary little aspiring devotees, but we try to dance and chant and glorify Lord Jagannath as much as we can. Hare Krishna. So it's almost 8 o'clock. I will finish there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Haribol Jivananda. Welcome to New Mayapur. What time did you arrive? 4 o'clock?
Yeah, 4.
Oh, not too bad. Yes. Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Leda. I know this subject's a little in another dimension, another world. But I'm sure if you come to other classes, it'll be a little bit more, you could say, relevant and to our world that we're in right now. But anyway, it's nice to hear these things sometimes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.